Hello and welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another edition of Bike Profiles. Today we will be talking about a Trek Speed concept, and the reason we're talking about this bike is because this gentleman is racing in the pro field, and even though he owns a Trek, he brought it to my shop and I am not a Trek dealer, so I thought, well, why not? Let's take a look at it. But maybe I'll earn his business and he'll be a long-term customer. All right, so the headline will be Speed Concept Triathlon Bike with an Enve set of wheels and a Ultegra Di2 12-speed group set. So this is a really nice rig. So let's start from the front end and work our way back. This is a nice cockpit to do your work from, because right here I like the way these bars are completely integrated into this mount, and this mount has a water carrier here, and then you could also put, so it's an integrated type of water carrier, and then on top of that you can also put just like a regular water bottle. And nice setup for the computer here. It's a Bontrager setup, as you can see. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit better on that. And this part here is where the bottle, like you set it in and it clips to the back of the bottle. So this is kind of like think about it like a set of Look cleats, Shimano cleats, right? So nice setup for the bars. Now they're angled up, and the good thing is that in triathlon there is no real rules for the bars having to be level, but in time trialing for the UCI, which the UCI is a party pooper, they do have regulations for how much of an angle you can put these armrests. So we work our way down and we can see it has Dura-Ace levers and Dura-Ace brakes, which we'll get to that in just a second. But a lot of times Shimano just doesn't make a multi-level brake lever shifter system. They'll just make the Dura-Ace level and that's it. No Ultegra, no 105, so on. But so that's what you have here. And as we work our way down from the Enve 70 millimeter wheel in the front here, we're going to have the Dura-Ace calipers right there, R9270, and these brakes just feel phenomenal. And not a disc brake fan in general, but if you're going to have disc brakes, you might as well have something like this. This is a very, very good feeling brake. Just the lever feel just feels really, really good, and the travel and all of that stuff. Now, if you're not familiar, what they tried to do on the 12-speed group set is provide a little bit more of a gap between the pads and the rotor, so you shouldn't get that much brake rub when your rotor heats up. So there it is, Speed Concept. Now this is a large, and the gentleman's probably 6'1", 6'2", and I have not seen him on the bike. I have not done his bike fit, so I'm wondering what opportunities there may be for me to work with him on other than some service related items that we're doing now. Now, next thing to talk about here is that this is an Ultegra crank set, and I found this interesting because on the Ultegra 81 group set, the 12-speed, there are no larger chain rings, and so he's running a 50-34 chain ring, and so the 50 is out here, 34 in here. Now, he would have to upgrade to a Durace crankset to get, like, let's say a 54 outer chainring and a 40 inner chainring, because Shimano did not go to a 12-speed, did not go to a 10-tooth cog for their 12-speed. So what they did differently was they just made larger chain rings, but those larger chain rings are only available at the Durace level. This maxes out at 52.36, so a mid-compact for those that hear the words mid-compact and wonder what that is. So a standard crankset used to be 53.39. This would have been a compact crankset at 50.34, and then the mid-compact would be 52 out here, 36 in here. So you gained a few more teeth, let's say 2 teeth here and 2 teeth here, just to not lose top end speed, and maybe you didn't need as much help climbing. So this could be a 36 instead of a 34. But if he is going to continue to race in the pro field, I strongly recommend he gets larger chain rings than a 50-11 setup. He's got some Garmin pedals on here. Look like they've lived a rough life, but you know, that's fine as long as they keep providing him with some power data. We totally broke down the chain. We degreased it. His lube of choice is a Muck-Off C3 product, so a ceramic lube. And we did talk about wax lubing, so we may do that in the future. And here is the Ultegra rear derailleur, and it's an 11 tooth cog, because that's kind of the way you have to do it for Shimano. But let me see what size this outer. I didn't build this bike, so I don't know the entire spec of the bike until I work on it. So, but it looks like a 30-ish cassette. But, you know, there's tons of climbing in San Diego, and maybe this will be a good cassette for him, but at some point, maybe he'll knock this cassette down to a closer ratio for him, and then, of course, upgrade the chain rings to a larger chain ring set. But this is just a sweet, sweet, sweet machine. Apparently there were a few issues with this bike. One of them was this handlebar, this base bar. I guess there was a recall on it. So he had to get a new handlebar for that. Then he had some issues here with the seat post and the wedge that goes inside here. I guess either the wedge, something slipped, broke, and he had to get a whole new seat post. So he's had a little bit of some issues with parts either breaking or being recalled, but he's got it all set up. Today is Wednesday. He's racing on Saturday, and for the time being, this is the saddle he's going to go with, and it's comfortable for him. And if everything is comfortable the way it is, we're not going to change anything for this race. But being a 70.3, he's after this going to continue on for longer course events. Now, sometimes I post triathlon bikes, and especially people who are not in the bike industry or know enough about bikes, they're like, oh my God, how light is that thing, right? Because they see all this carbon goodness, right? They see the carbon wheels, the carbon fork, the frame, and you know, the first thing that comes to mind, or they've been conditioned to think that, oh my God, that's got to be really light. Well, sadly, this bike here, even though it's nearly a $10,000 bike, is actually not all that light. So this bike is over 10 kilos and over 22 pounds. So it's like 22 and like 3 ounces. So this is quite a heavy bike, and there are no fluids on this bike. So at some point, if you're doing long course triathlon, so that's the 112 mile bike leg, you're probably going to have a bottle here with, as I mentioned, you can put another one on top, piggyback it on top. One thing to think about is, like, you know, the 747 or whatever it was with the space shuttle on top. And then you put a bottle here, which is an arrow-shaped bottle. And then back here, another bottle, which he could actually maybe put two bottles back here. This is currently just a single mount for a bottle. So imagine, if you will, if this bike dry is 22 pounds, over 10 kilos, what this bike would weigh with all the fluids and all that stuff. And like I said, you know, it's nearing 10 grand. You got the Enve wheels, all carbon, and well, there you go. Anyway, I just thought this was a very slick looking bike, and I wanted to share it with you. If you like bike profiles and you like seeing this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe. Please make a comment down below. Let's get that subscriber base up, because so many more exciting things can happen if the channel has more subscribers. Okay, thank you so much for your time, your attention. We look forward to seeing you up the road.